he made a joke at the Prime Minister's expense, probably the least qualified person. I guess something that I try to do every day is think about why I react to certain things, well, just to everything really. And I think, not to sound like I'm beating myself, but I think it's something that can help. If everyone did it, I think the world would be a little bit less shitty place. If you just took time to think why you react to things in a certain way, and then see whether the reaction is justified.
Well, you got an example? Something profound?
Well, let's look at the generational thing we were talking before, where it's, I'm guilty of it. As anyone's going, oh, those kids, kids 20s, the next generation below me, oh, they're just naive or whatever, based on one person doing something silly. And it's this ingrained cross-cultural generational division where that's the assumption of the generation below me always. And just taking the time to realise that that's where it came from, and there's no point deciding to, even if it's a split-second thought, it's pointless and doesn't help anyone to write off a generation because one person did something stupid one time.
Yeah. That reminds me of? I was a student in Dunedin, and I was walking down the street with one of my mates. It was real late at night, passing a primary school, outside the primary school with these two kids playing with a shopping trolley in the middle of the road. And I was like, I went to my mate, hey bro, maybe we should go over there and get those kids out of the middle of the road. Might be a little bit dangerous. And go, whoa. Natural selection. Which I thought was a bit harsh, but fair enough.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Nobody can fail anymore. Have you noticed that? It's like actually, it's taboo to call people a loser.
Mm.
I mean, if there's no failure, there's nothing to compare success to.
Yeah, there's nothing to learn from either.
And people don't want to admit failure either. I admit failure all the time. Well, I am one to a large extent. And if we have any kind of rites of passage, all right, maybe they should be based on some kind of a value, something to verify that you're an adult and you can act responsibly and be trusted with certain things, like an adult should. But what do we have instead? Drink large quantities of beer through a yard glass. That's the measure of the amount of responsibility you need to have in order to qualify as an adult in New Zealand. All right. Am I oversimplifying things? Is that what it takes to be an adult? Have you noticed the same phenomenon too, Shane? Maybe the adults are a little bit childish.
Oh yeah, I think that's the biggest thing you learn by the time you hit your mid-20s is that adults are just physically bigger than you when you're a kid. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're educated to the level of a 15-year-old or so, like in that movie, The Island.
Right.
You're just clones. I mean, we're like the chicken nuggets of humanity now. We're freaking pink slime, breaded, pressed into familiar shapes, deep fried, and frozen. That's what we are. Frozen and solid. There's no nutritional value. And again, maybe taking it a bit too far there, Vinny. But for frick's sake, just can we just admit to ourselves that we're really underperforming here? Okay, maybe I'm overreacting, but I see a whole lot of potential in humanity that is simply not being fulfilled. I see people being depressed. I see people getting angry. And I see people failing in life and being okay with it. And not only failing in life and being okay with it, but they can't even admit it to themselves at the same time as being okay with it. Isn't that messed up? My God. It's like, yeah, I'm a loser, I'm fine. You know, like, that doesn't even occur to them. It's like, does a person who fits into a cliche realize that they're a cliche? I expect not, because if they'd done any self-analysis and tried to be an individual in any way, they wouldn't be a cliche. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I mean,
yeah, it makes sense though, doesn't it?
I mean, the day that thought occurred to me was me and Sarah were driving down in New Lynn, right? You know, light industrial area, and we see these three guys in a lowered Nissan Skyline with the system up, with the windows down, wearing hoodies and baseball caps at the same time. All three of them. Driving past. I was like, bro, I wonder if it occurred to those kids that they're a cliche. And again, obviously not. I mean, you can imagine, like, the day that they turn around, like, you know, there's Mikey, Jerry, and Ricky in this car. And of course, they all, you know, rhyme kind of like that, like Huey, Dewey, and Louie. In fact, they are Huey, Dewey, and Louie in a car, you know, little quackers. And one of them pipes up and he goes, "Hey, bro." I says, "What? Do you realise that we're a cliche?" He goes, "What do you mean, bro?" He'd be like, "There are like thousands of other people like us. All right, like exactly like us." That have virtually no discernible different, like you couldn't spot us out differently in a lineup, kind of thing. We're that freaking cliche, bro. Maybe we should do something about this. Has there ever been a conversation that's ever happened in all of history? I don't freaking think that's happened either.
No.
There's just this lack of self-analysis, you know. Maybe that's why everybody lets themselves go as well, you know, especially after you get a missus. You definitely let yourself go. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, don't lie to me and tell me that you're the exact same weight you were when you first met your hot wife. Okay, don't lie to me. It's the same thing that happens. You know, you get comfortable, you stop questioning your surroundings, and then eventually you die from it. Kind of like diabetes, you know. I mean, you see these people that are cruising around. Diabetes is so totally curable, it's not even freaking funny. All right, and you tell the people that have diabetes, they can't believe you. They're totally aghast. Like, why would the evil medical system run by the Rockefellers and Rothschild banking cartels and families ever lie to us about our disease being curable or not? Why would they keep selling us drugs when they could just give us a cure? It's just, isn't it self-explanatory? Why didn't where's the questioning nature? And I think it all starts in this education system, right, bro? You know, you start off, you go out there. What's the first thing you've got to start doing? Obeying authority, right? Class, quiet down. Good morning, Mrs. Something or other. And you keep doing what you're told all the frack way through your whole goddamn life. All the way through your life. From freaking cradle to grave. You got everybody telling you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
How is anybody supposed to develop a sense of individuality if everything that they do is dictated in some way, shape or form, or coerced, you know? I mean, like, let's say you're, there's a ravine, alright, and there's a river down the bottom of this ravine, and the river's reasonably wide. Okay. You're on a boat. You can certainly go from side to side in the river, but you can't escape the ravine. You know? You can be an individual. You can maybe, I don't know, paddle a little further away from the rest of the frickin' whitewater rafting group. But other than that, you're still stuck in the same system. Mm. And the system's starting to grow everywhere. It's gotten so huge. I mean, we've got mass surveillance. That's something that's actually really quite terrifying to me.
Hmm.
What's your thoughts on the GCSB bill?
Oh, I just think it's it's entirely unnecessary. Just by definition of what it is, it's unnecessary. There's already things in place to do what that's there for. In terms of surveillance laws, there's everything that there needs to be already. It's a minimal input from anyone else before someone in a position of authority to do so can surveil you at the moment. And it's just taking away the last step of that unnecessarily. How much effort it is for a judge to sign off a warrant, because that's the only change they're making in terms of how difficult it is now. So it's just even if you take away the offensiveness of having those rights to privacy stripped, the simple matter of the fact is that it's just stupid lawmaking, because there's a law there to do what its goal is already.
Yeah. Well, I think if I ever get elected Prime Sinister, and I think I'm mainstream enough to do it, I'm going to pass 3 laws. All right? The Sinister Act, which will rename all Ministers of Parliament as Sinisters of Parliament. So you have the Prime Sinister, the Sinister for the Environment, the Sinister of Justice, and so on and so forth, to appropriately label these alleged servants as sinister, so that nobody will trust them, so they won't be able to actually get anything done. It'll be great. It'll block up Parliament. It'll be fantastic. All right, that's Act 1. Act 2, which I'll ram through under urgency with no democratic accountability whatsoever, will be the Suppression of Scumbaggery Act, which will create a new government department that has no central building and no funding, to be staffed entirely by volunteers, working from home, activists and investigative journalists and whatnot, to expose and be given the power to subpoena and prosecute people who are committing scumbaggery, who currently are not within the scope of the police or the courts or that kind of thing to bring to justice. All right? Whoever is currently committing scumbaggery, who cannot be brought to justice by normal means, that's what this loose department will be. The Suppression of Scumbaggery Act. And then the third and final piece of legislation, the Suppression of Any Further Legislation Act. So that no other frickin' laws can be passed to curtail our freedoms or give scumbags a hold of the reins of power again. Thank you. That's what's got to be done. I'm not sure if it will be done, but I can dream. You know, you try, you do what you can.
There's still time for the next election. How many signatures do you need for a party?
I don't know. I think you need
8,000?
I thought you needed like 500.
Oh, it might be true. Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, I'd have to like, I'm not a responsible person. Well, I'm fairly responsible, right? I talk about individual responsibility enough, don't I? Friggin' libertarians. And ultimately, I don't want the responsibility. And this is the irony of government, don't you think? That the only people that you should actually have in government are the people who don't want to have the responsibility of telling everybody how to live their lives. They're the people you want in government because they won't tell you how to live their lives. But those people don't run for parliament. Because only people who want to run your life for you run for parliament. Don't they? It's a catch-22, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, you know what they say about how turkeys don't vote for an early Christmas or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see the politicians voting to give themselves lower wages. I don't see them voting away their own power to ram things through under urgency. I don't see them downgrading the limousines, the BMW limousines to a Toyota Corolla. I don't see any of that happening, bro. I see this separation anxiety kind of thing happening, except it's in reverse. The politicians get anxious if they're not as far separated from the consequences of their actions as they could possibly be. I was outside Paula Bennett's office, right? And SIFs in this country is responsible for covering up so many massive cases of pedophilia and child trafficking that you wouldn't believe, right? Like, people actually suffer depression and anxiety and actually have to go on medication just looking at the facts of other people's cases, let alone actually having it happen to them, you know? And so we're outside Paula Bennett's electoral office in West Auckland. She has like 20 cops protecting her. Okay? Last time I ambushed the Prime Minister was like quite a number of years ago, admittedly. You know how many cops he had following him around? 2. Okay? I cannot stress just how brazen these people are. It's almost like they love using everybody else's resources so that nobody can get to them to address any grievances. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. They just want to sell you some BS over the media quackery, and then run off with whatever they want. That's all it is. Parliament in this country is kind of like preparing for a hurricane. You expect the worst and just hope for the best. And unfortunately, the best never rears its ugly head. It just keeps getting freaking worse. And you know, I lost faith in the Greens. I lost faith in New Zealand First. Lost faith in National.